standing on the same line, but you are low and I am This is my vantage. You have yours, I have mine. Never see eye to eye. Oh my gosh! This song is so good! I've had it on repeat all day. Yo! What is going on, guys? Welcome to the stream. What's going on? Pepper, Cat, Dog. We got Emmy. We got Clover, DJ, Arby. Hello, everyone. This is called Vantage by Haffy and Winks. You know the song Oblivion? You know the song Oblivion? Like, it's, oh my gosh. Guys, I'm so excited. I'm drinking water. Oh my gosh, water's so good. Yo, what's going on, Astrosity? Hello, Toasted. What is up? Dude, my ceiling. Hello, Noodle Pie. Hi, guys. Are y'all ready to be sad? Are y'all ready to be sad? Cause, oh god. You know the connection is bad when the mobile delay in the computer. Oh my goodness. Hi, Blueberry. Oh my goodness, we got a full chat today. Are y'all ready? I'm so excited. So I'm gonna go ahead and undeafen now. Kit, I'm coming. I'm coming for you. Coming for you. Kitsage.
Yo!
Yo!
I heard double of you because I was watching your stream and I was like, what?
Let's
What
go.
is this?
Let's go. Oh my goodness. I gotta get a lore playlist going. Hold on. I gotta get my lore playlist going. Also, I am playing literally the saddest Haffy and Wink songs ever.
Why? Why would you do that?
Cause it makes me feel stuff. It makes me feel stuff.
You know what? Okay. I believe you. I believe you.
It's called Wings. My wings.
You showed me that song. I remember.
I did. I remember listening to it in my car and just crying.
I was listening to, I think, Oblivion and In the End today. While I was driving around. Yeah. So
that's lovely.
good.
But yeah, we got the PNG tuber on today, guys, because I took a shower and I didn't want to do my makeup today. And also, Tommy Tuesday is my day where I don't have to worry about the appearances.
All we're focusing on is the story.
So true.
It's the best.
Okay, I turned off Wings because it was actually making me kind of sad. So we got the lore playlist going. We got the lore playlist going. Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna pull up chat.
Think your hair has nerves? My hair is literally living, guys. It's got berries inside of it. Oh, thank you guys for the congrats on the 900. Oh my goodness. I gotta work on a next goal for 1K.
I feel like I'm being threatened. You ready to cry, Kit? No.
Yes,
I'm
you
not.
are being threatened. And
No.
Hello, first time chatter. RX, is it Gravite? Hello?
Gravity?
Gravity. Gravity E. That was an aggressive E. Stop crying, kid. The chapter hasn't even started.
I don't want to do this. For some reason, I actually have to go. I don't want to put myself
get back
in emotional
here.
peril.
Get back here. Get back
okay,
here, guys.
I'm gonna put some mood lighting, and by mood lighting, I mean, here, choose my color of lighting while I read. What should it be?
Who is that? They sound familiar. The person I'm in VC with is Kitsage.
Whoa!
So let's get a little shout out to Kitsage.
Let's go.
Forgot about the chapter 3 trigger warnings. Yeah, I'm gonna read them out though. Well, yeah, I'm gonna read them out because I read them out this time because Kit is gonna start us off.
I am starting you guys off.
Yeah, I gotta.
What? Wait, I just saw the trigger warnings. What?
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. All right. I'm gonna close Spotify. All right. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
All right, Kitsage. So we have chapter 3. Oh yeah. All right, here we go. Chapter 3. The twins. Trigger warning for child death, starvation, and the slight mention of a corpse decomposition. And the absolute annihilation of a small town.
Okay. It had always been Technoblade and Wilbur. From the beginning. From the very beginning, they shared a womb. After all, they were brothers. Twins. Inseparable from one another. Even in death. Life is unfair, Wilbur had told his brother once, as the two were scavenging a nearby chest for a scrap of food. Something. Anything that could possibly soothe their growling bellies. Barely 5 years old, and the two had been left to fend for themselves since the day they were born. Nobody wanted them after all. They were freaks. Outcasts. Too piglin to be human, and far too human to be piglin. Their pig-like ears and their bottom fangs were a dead giveaway of what kind of abomination they were, and yet those features had still somehow kept the brothers alive. Kept the drove from slaughtering the two in their sleep, though it wasn't enough peace of mind to keep Techno from sleeping with one eye open.
Oh. To be honest, it was a miracle the two lasted as long as they did. But eventually, time had taken its toll on the two, and the lack of nutrition had left the boys emaciated and too weak to even pull themselves out of the empty food crate they'd been living in. Eventually, even the most forgiving members of their clan began to turn their nose up at the two, no longer throwing them scraps of beef when nobody was looking. That was the day Techno finally broke down about it, crying himself into unconsciousness in Wilbur's arms until his dehydrated body could no longer form tears. The only blessing of it all is that the two had died around the same time. Both of them were far too gone with delirium to notice when the other's grip had slackened a bit too much, or when Wilbur's chest had finally stopped shaking with every ragged inhale. No, that had been the only mercy. That Technoblade hadn't noticed when his twin had died in his arms, hadn't noticed when the person he cared for most in the world had drawn a final pained inhale as the world faded to white.
He hadn't noticed the way the eyes that reflected his own hazed over, oblivious to the way Wilbur's vacant gaze was fixed on him, unseeing but staring endlessly at him nonetheless. Empty. Dead. Gone. No, he hadn't noticed at all, for it wasn't 15 minutes later that the piglin listlessly wheezed out a shallow breath before his own lungs finally stalled to a halt. And there they remained. Two innocent souls who never even had a chance in life, lying dead and ignored by the world in one another's bony arms, in the back corner of the alleyway that had been their only shelter for most of their short lives.
Oh my god. Most likely, the village wouldn't find the two for a few days, but eventually, the sweltering stench of decomposing flesh would raise some suspicion. Perhaps they would be found, but only for their lifeless corpses to be disposed into a river of lava that divided their drove from the infected, undead corpses of their former brethren. After all, no one would risk getting frostbite, even if the threat were two emancipated half-breeds. Overall, their disposal... Wait. Is it emaciated or emancipated? I'm so confused.
Emaciated.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Why did no one say anything before?
It's okay.
You know what? It's what makes the personality so great. Also, I just realized we forgot a lore recap. We'll do it at the end of the chapter, I promise.
Okay, it's okay. We're good.
Emaciated, okay.
Emaciated.
Emaciated.
Yeah.
I never attended the spelling bee.
It's okay, I did.
After all, no one would risk getting frostbite, even if the threat were too emaciated half-breeds. Overall, their disposal would be a minor inconvenience to the village that had indirectly deprived the twins of their lives. And they would have continued on obliviously with their mundane lives if the village had not royally pissed off Death and her angel. The angel arrived at the nether village, his dark wings raised high and his face shielded by his hat, an omen of death in broad lava light. And an omen of death he proved to be.
What happened to the town next could only be described as a massacre to some while a service to others. Phil would describe it as justice. Only once the screaming had finally stopped and the final brute choked to death from his own blood at the Emperor's feet did Phil begin his hunt. It was the grayest moment of Phil's life as he searched the now desolate town with the blood of so many staining his coat. He shuddered. He just wanted to find the boys, go home, and never look back. He would have burned the town to ash if it wasn't already fireproof. The entire event reminded him of the reason he was called the Angel of Death in the first place. There was a myth, normally told to small children in order to get them to behave. A folk tale that had managed to travel to the far corners of both the Nether and the Overworld alike.
Whoa. The story was quite simple, really. It was something the goddess's angel had proclaimed out in the midst of a terrible battle when his own men had been driven to madness by the blood god's curse. In exchange for their minds, the blood god offered strength and speed akin to God's, something that would surely turn the tide of the war against the still staggering amounts of mobs. And like fools, the men accepted. And when it came to time to fight, the men turned on their own people, killing both friend and foe alike without the slightest hint of remorse. Once the angel had seen what the blood god had done, he flew high into the sky and declared loudly, "To those who have treated me with injustice, that use me, that deceive my people and rob them blind of choice, those that betray the goddess you swore to fight for, I will repay that injustice 1,000 times over."
True to his word, the angel did just that. Thousands upon thousands of souls cried out for the final time that night. And when the battle was over, they would later say the river water was undrinkable for the next few weeks, stained red with blood that had been spilled from the angel's blade. And as punishment for the destruction he'd caused, the blood god was banished to the deepest crevice of the Nether to rot for all eternity in frozen darkness. Except the blood god didn't do that. Using the loss of his power, the god cursed the people of the Nether with the frostbite, a virus that overtook the minds of any piglin who perished outside the Nether or were bitten by infected. In rare cases, though, the virus would overtake the corpses of those that were not properly burned. As punishment for the angel himself, well, Blood God made sure his legacy would outlive him. And as the bodies of 2 Nether children lay dead in a singed and battered food crate, the Blood God saw the man his foolish sister had trusted over him enter the dark alleyway of a town that had been reduced to nothing.
It was at that moment that his legacy was sealed. His presence, weak and broken from years without sacrifices made in his honor, crept up like a shadow to the surface world. And as the golden-haired angel looked down at the dead children with a grief-stricken expression, the blood god's curse coiled like a wire around the younger one of the twins. He waited impatiently for the virus to overcome the corpse of the toddler, and for Filza's life to come to a violent halt. But unfortunately, he was unprepared for his sister's meddling. Filza took the older twin with short, curly pink hair into his arms and cradled the lifeless child against his chest. He gently pushed a few strands of matted hair out of his face and pressed a tender kiss to his forehead. "Wake up," Filza whispered, and then shifted the child into one arm so he could gently lift up the long-haired twin into his other arm. He pressed the same kiss against the boy's brow, and the blood god screeched in rage once he realized what was happening. His grip failed, and he once again was sent plummeting back down to his cage.
Phil gently set the 2 children side by side onto the soul sand pavement and knelt down in front of them, waiting for Kristen to escort the twins' souls to the gates of the afterworld so that they could find their way back to their bodies. His leg bounced nervously as the minutes ticked by painfully slow. He looked down at the twins in front of him, just barely out of toddlerhood, and already they had experienced more pain than most people experience in their entire lifetime. They were so tiny, just little bundles of skin and bones with tufts of pink hair and long ears. These kids weren't even old enough to know how to read, and already their innocence had been taken. Their lives were snuffed out like an ant underneath an absent-minded trader's boot.
Phil felt something damp slide down his cheeks, and he realized he was crying. He didn't bother to wipe them away. His heart was aching for the two boys in front of him. "It's not fair. You didn't deserve this. I'm so sorry I wasn't here sooner," the Emperor cried, curling his arms around himself and his eyes shut tightly. His shoulders shook violently as he poured his heart out on the sweltering ground. It was just like with Theseus. Once again, he'd failed to help those he was supposed to protect, his sons. And yeah, they weren't his yet, and he didn't know them, but he still cared for them as much as one could for strangers. He looked again at the two boys in front of him, studying their faces as his sobs receded. The first of the two boys had thick, unkempt pink curls that fell over his eyes. The only thing keeping his hair in some semblance of order was a threadbare red beanie that looked like it was close to falling apart entirely. He was dressed in an equally ragged-looking yellow sweatshirt that seemed to swallow the boy entirely.
The other brother had what Phil would normally assume to be long, straight, equally pink hair that just passed his shoulders. It was clumsily tied back with a string and was knotted to hell. He was also, much to Phil's horror, much smaller than his brother. His eyes were sunken in from malnourishment. Philza also took in the sight of a deep laceration that trailed over the bridge of his nose. It looked recent, and by the looks of it, infected. Rage boiled in his gut, and for a brief moment he wished he hadn't already slaughtered the village, just so he could do it again. Philza inhaled deeply. He would need to bury that immoral side of him as soon as possible. He leaned down to brush the hair out of one of the boys' faces, noting both boys now possessed a small streak of white in their hair that had not been there earlier. But before he could even touch him, the child sucked in a lungful of air that sounded more painful than anything. Not 2 seconds later, the other boy, the one with the curly hair, inhaled as well, letting out a sickly wheeze afterward. Phil scampered back, not wanting to immediately startle the boys as they came to.
The longer-haired child was the first to move, his arm swinging over to grab at his brother. His fingers dug into his shoulder, clutching at the yellow sweatshirt. His eyes were shining a bright and startling red as he whimpered out, "Wilbur, I'm here." The boy let out a pained moan as he rolled to the side to face him, his own red eyes shining back at him. "It hurts, Techno. My chest hurts." Techno clutched his hand tightly in his own for a moment before suddenly snapping his head upwards. "What was that sound? Do you hear it?" Techno winced, clutching weakly at his skull. He tried to sit up as he did, that was when he finally locked eyes with Philza, who was perched, much like a bird would be on a nearby trash can. The child inhaled sharply, fearful, and grabbed Wilbur by the back of his shirt before attempting to scramble to his feet. His knees buckled almost immediately from weakness, and he just about crashed to the ground. The boy narrowly avoids slamming his head against a nearby dumpster, thanks to Phil, who was able to catch him by the crook of his bony elbow.
Before Techno could even process what was happening, he had already been deposited back onto the ground next to his brother with a gentleness the child had never experienced before. The winged man raised his hands in surrender and took a cautious step back. "I'm not here to harm you, I promise," the man said with a soft voice, stepping back even further to show he wasn't a threat. "I'm here to help you." "Get away! Step back!" Techno hissed, baring his teeth at the man. He tried pulling himself up again and managed to balance himself into a wobbly stance that threatened to collapse at any moment. Suddenly, his twin turned to his side, crying out as he began coughing and wheezing violently against the ground. His tiny frame shook with each ragged inhale. Philza rushed over to his side, much to Techno's dismay, who responded by trying to angrily shove him away, only to lose his balance altogether. The pink-haired boy fell involuntarily against him, and Phil caught him easily with his free arm. Techno's head lolled backward as a heavy wave of fatigue washed over him.
They were still so weak and frail from hunger and dehydration, even after being revived. The child let out a frightened whimper as he tried to push away. Heartbreakingly enough, Phil wasn't holding him down or anything. The boy simply lacked the strength to pull himself up anymore. Finally, after a few attempts to stand again, he collapsed into his arms and whispered so softly, Phil nearly missed it. "Please, don't hurt us. Please be a good guy." He sounded so defeated and so tiny. Techno looked up at him, his red eyes pleading. "Help us. Please." He turned his gaze downward to where Wilbur was curled up on the sand, eyes shut tightly in pain. The curly-haired child peered up at Phil with lidded red eyes that mirrored his brother's. Philza turned back to Techno, who finally allowed the tears he accumulated to spill over and slide down his soot-covered cheeks. "Please, save my brother. He's all I have. Please don't be like them." Phil's heart ached at the plea, and it takes all of his strength not to let a few tears of his own spill. He gently presses his hand to the side of Techno's face and wipes away the fear in his eyes with a simple swipe of his thumb. Techno let out a shuddered sob and leaned into the touch cautiously, his eyes wide with an emotion Philza simply couldn't describe with just one word. It bordered on bafflement, amazement, desperation, and sadness all at once.
As if the small boy lying fragile and broken in his arms had never experienced what positive touch was, Philza was almost certain the only affection he'd ever received was from his brother. Finally, Philza gave the child a melancholic smile and said, "I promise you, they will never hurt you again. If you'll allow me to, I can take you back to my home where my wife and I will help both of you and your brother. We can provide both of you with a proper home, food, and education. We can keep you safe." Techno stared back at him with an incredulous expression, his mouth hanging open, lacking the words to say to the man who was offering them everything they'd ever wanted. It was Wilbur who spoke first, his voice wrought with disbelief. Why? Why help us? You don't know us."
"Because the gods prophesized it, and my life is not my own to live." The thought echoed harshly in his brain, and anger burned at him once more. "No, this is my choice. I'm helping them because I want to, not because I was instructed to do so. This is one decision that I won't allow to be denied from me. Because," Phil began, and hoisted Techno up into one arm as he stood. He knelt down by Wilbur and stretched out a hand to the child. "Everyone deserves to be given the chance to live." Wilbur stared at his hand intensely, his expression unreadable. He looked back up at Phil, and his red eyes met blue. Philza felt like his soul was being read by the scrawny 5-year-old, as if every wrong Phil had ever committed was being laid bare before him, ready for judgment. The eyes that stared back at him were critical, more calculating than that of his brother, who had been so quick to trust, although his weak status could have easily affected his judgment. Philza could tell, however, that Wilbur was someone who craved knowledge, or at least craved the ability to understand people and how their minds worked. He craved to know what his enemies were thinking.
Slow to earn trust, and even slower to earn love, Wilbur was someone who'd clearly been hurt by the world, and his faith in people had been shattered because of it. Phil knew it would be quite a while before he obtained any semblance of trust from the curly-haired boy. And as if Wilbur could tell what Phil was thinking, he spoke, "I don't trust you. Then again, I suppose we don't really have much of a choice, do we?" After a long moment, Wilbur sucks in a ragged breath, one that caused him to break down into a small fit of violent coughing. He raised a hand when Phil reached for him, keeping him away. Finally, after a long moment, they subsided, and he turned back to the man. His resistance crumbled when he looked at his twin, who was on the verge of unconsciousness. Phil's eyes softened when Wilbur set his tiny hand into his own and nodded.
The angel bent over and wrapped his free arms securely around the child, lifting him into his arms. Techno perked up in his hold when he noticed his twin at his side. He weakly grabbed his brother's hand in his own before exhaustion took over once again, and he drifted off. It's not long before both boys are curled up in his arms, completely out of it. The only reason they'd probably had been able to wake up at all was due to solely to adrenaline. Now that it had worn off and the twins knew they were at least somewhat safe, Phil guessed it would be a while till they woke up on their own. Phil looked down at the two pink-haired boys curled up in his arms, and something new and unfamiliar swelled in his chest. Perhaps it was that feeling Bad Boy Halo had described to him when he'd first held his son, Sapnap, in his arms. The overwhelming feeling to protect the two boys who'd placed their lives into his hands, knowing they had no other choice. Not quite love, but paternal in nature nonetheless. Sadness swelled in his chest. He swore to himself he'd earn their trust, that he'd spend the rest of his mortal life working to earn their love, and perhaps even longer. After all, I'm immortal until proven not, Philza mumbled to himself as he made his way back into the portal. He trod carefully through the town, taking care to avoid the piles of bodies located on the far side of the town.
Gods knew the last thing he'd want was for the twins to see such a horrific sight. Wilbur stirred quietly in his arms. It's so quiet. It's never quiet here. Philza smiled at the boy. They're scared of me, and rightfully so. They've all scurried into their homes like cowardly rats. It must be quite strong for them to be scared of a human, Wilbur murmured into his shoulder as they crossed over a narrow pathway Philza had made over a lake of lava. They grew close to the portal, and the curly-haired child tensed in his arms when he spotted the glowing portal that led to a world neither twin had ever dared dream to see.
What's it like? The overworld? Wilbur asked. His head perked up, and his red eyes reflected the violet purple. Violence! I choose violence. The violet purple that emanated, thank you, from the portal. It's different. Some would say better than your world, though in my opinion, the people are all the same, though the climate is much more favorable. Will deflated in his arms and sadness echoed in his bright eyes. Phil frowned and quickly added, "Do not fret, little one. I've promised to protect you and your brother, and I meant that." "I'm not a little one. My name is Wilbur," the child snarled in his grasp, and Phil had to hold back a laugh. "Apologies, Wilbur, but to my people, you are quite small."
5! I may be a child, but I'm not a baby, Wilbur hissed, before descending into yet another fit of coughs. Phil paused just before the portal and waited for Wilbur to still once more. "That doesn't sound too good, mate. When we get back to my home, you and your brother will have to be looked at. It may seem a bit overwhelming at first, but I promise my people won't harm you." Philza swore. He stood mere feet from the portal and Wilbur stiffened. "No! You promised!" "Will, no! Nobody else! Only you! They'll hurt us. I can't let them hurt Techno. Please," Wilbur pleaded, his small hands digging into his shirt.
"Philza. My name is Philza." "Philza." The name rolled clumsily off his tongue. "Please, Philza, no one else. I can't deal with more strangers." Phil sighed, wishing he had a free hand to brush the faded pink hair out of his face. "Shh, it's okay, Will. It's okay, Wilbur. It'll just be one more person. Well, maybe two if Puffy shows up, but I promise she's trustworthy. She has a kid of her own, too. A boy just a little bit older than you and Techno. The only other person I'll allow will be a doctor who can properly care for your lungs, and then my wife." Wilbur frowned, but didn't complain further, instead choosing to bury his face into Phil's shoulder, his breath coming out in wheezes. Phil took this as an opportunity to get out of the nether at last.
"Hold your breath, Wilbur. Time to go home." Wilbur obliged, letting his eyes shut and sucked in a shallow breath. And with that, Phil stepped through the portal.
End of chapter 3. Sorry I kept reading stuff wrong there, chat.
It's okay.
Just
Emancipation Proclamation.
Emancipation.
407 years ago.
Phil's at Minecraft took his sons home.
He took him home to the overworld, to his wife, who is also death. PogChamp.
PogChamp.
And then Abraham Lincoln said, "PogChamp."
Oh my gosh.
That was a
my
good chapter.
goodness.
The beginning hurt me quite a lot,
Oh.
but that ending made me very
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah, I'll bet it hurt you. Oh my gosh. But we gotta go in and thank the people. Thank you, RX Gravity, for the follow, and Savel Sleepy. Sorry if I butchered that name there. Thank you guys for the follow. Yes, I updated the thing. I updated the reading command now, so now it actually says the Golden Phoenix.
What was it? Oh, was it?
It
was
said
the other
so.
one, right?
It said so. Break the silence by Ghost Band-Aids. Oopsie.
Wasn't that the last one you did when I couldn't do Tommy Tuesday? Or
No,
was that
I
something
did.
else?
I did Rin
Oh, no,
Redacted's
you-
one.
yeah.
I did. It was just not updated at all.
Emmy, please tell me that's true. Is it fluff time? Please
fluff
tell me
time.
it's fluff time. Fluff time.
Fluff time.
Yay!
Yeah.
I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm clapping, jumping in my seat.
She's literally bouncing, Your Honor.
I am. Yay! Fluff, fluff, fluff. I need
Fluff
it.
time.
I need it.
I know.
Fluff! Yes! Thank
We all need
gosh.
it. Okay, let's do a lore recap real quick though, because I
Mhm.
feel bad. I totally forgot.
It's okay. It's okay. We were just so
Oh my
excited.
gosh. Not Danny
We were
making me
just
sad with Guns for Hire while I'm reading another.
No!
Oh my gosh. I'm literally
Oh,
gonna
no.
smack her when I see her next year. Okay. Kit, do you want to do the lore recap? Or do you need me to?
I say you're gonna be better at doing the lore recap. I'm just never good at giving all the information.
No? Okay. You're gonna have your moment though. You're
I
gonna
will.
have
I
your-
will.
Alright.
You're
So-
just the official lore
I'm just the
recapper.
lore recapper. Okay. So in chapters 1 and 2. Oh hello, first time chatter, Rainy's Days. What's up? It's okay, you're never late. There's no such thing as being late.
Mm-hmm. So true.
And this will be the VOD will still be on the Twitch.
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
it'll be uploaded on YouTube sometime this week. So you're good, fam. Lore recap. Chapters 1 and 2 contained a lot of world building. We have the Goddess of Death and then the Blood God, who were created by like the admins or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
And so next you know, the gods bestow Kristen, the Goddess of Death, with an angel who helps her out like with wars and stuff. And then Filza goes to fight the Ender Dragon, saves the egg, and then he sees visions of a family. Admins. Oh, that's so their names now? Wait, did I just write
Wait.
something for the what?
Wait. Admins. What about admins?
I just called the gods like the admins. Like randomly.
Admins of
That's
Adams
their-
of the AU. Adams. Oh my God.
the
Admins.
admins of the the admins of the
The
Golden
Adams.
Let's
The Adams.
go! Oh my gosh. So, Filza sees visions of, they were originally called the High Gods. Oh, the High Gods, that's right.
I see.
They're admins now, let's go! So Filza
Let's
sees
go,
visions of Techno
admins.
and Wilbur and Tommy, fights the Ender Dragon, saves the egg, he sleeps for 1,000 years, sees more visions of Tommy, or Theseus, sorry, he's not called Tommy yet, gets, like, freaking, like, murked, got no wings in his back, dude, and he, like, dies, and he's like, don't let this happen to me, Dad, and he goes, yeah, I promise, pinky promise, moment. Next you know, Kingdom starts going on, Antarctic Empire type beat stuff, Jay Schlatt is Filza's right-hand man.
Yeah.
Kristen can see him like once every week, and then
Oh.
Kristen's like, yo, Phil, I saw our kids. They're dead as hell though, so you gotta go get them back and then do some ritual to bring them
Oh
back.
my God. Yeah, sounds about right.
Then the last chapter for people who are just now coming in, Techno and Wilbur, trigger warning, death, starved to death. But it's okay now because they're back. They're back. If you look at the tags, there's a big old temporary character death thing in here. Yay! We love that. Woo! So yeah, that happened. And then Filza's like, you're coming home with me.
Child adopted.
Child, two of them. Two of them.
Two. Excuse me.
Yeah, two of them. Casually starts at Emmy. Shut. How dare you? Oh my goodness. Alright, I have to message Danny real quick. I am going to cry on stream because of you.
Yeah, you tell her.
I will. Casually dies. You know what? That's a very it's a very in character thing for Wilbur to do when you think about it, because they always kill Wilbur off in fanfics. Anyways.
Yeah.
Who's reading this one? Is it me?
I think it would be. Hold on. I got rid of it by accident. Hold on, where is it?
How dare you?
I just read chapter. That's just what I read the chapter, and then you're first.
Okay.
Or wait, no, you read the chapter. You read the chapter because you have it highlighted in yellow.
Oh. Okay. Chapter 4. Wilbur bites someone in this chapter. More twins content before Tommy. Enjoy. Heart. I will enjoy. They're heavily dehydrated and severely malnourished. The long-haired one, Technoblade, is a bit too underweight for my comfort, so I'd like to put him on a fortified calorie diet to get his weight up. But other than the dehydration and malnourishment, he's quite healthy, Bad said, with an overly optimistic smile before it suddenly dropped from his face. It's Wilbur I'm more concerned about with his lungs. From what I can infer, yes, the reason Technoblade is so much smaller than his brother is probably that when Wilbur became ill, and Technoblade began giving up food to keep up his strength. The twins were currently lying in front of him, curled up together in one of the several beds that lined the walls of Bad's clinic. Techno had his arm wrapped protectively around Wilbur, but not in a way that interfered with the machines. At first, they'd been in separate beds, but the two men quickly discovered that their condition seemed to plummet if not at one another's side. So Phil had scooped Techno into his arms and rested him next to his brother. Wilbur was currently hooked up to multiple redstone-powered machines that displayed his vitals. There was talk at first of putting a tube in to help the poor boy breathe, but that idea had quickly been squashed when he had found out about it.
Wilbur had fought so hard against the idea, but his pneumonia had been practically drowning his chest with fluid. The child could hardly breathe. So when Bad brought a needle full of an analgesic, I think so, Wilbur had damn near lost it, clutching at Phil in desperation and yelling at the top of his lungs, which didn't end up being very loud. No, please, I don't want it. Please, Phil. Philza let the boy crash into his arms. The child dug his hands into his shoulders, clinging to him like a lifeline. Phil wrapped his arms around the boy, rocking him gently and speaking to him in a soft voice. It's going to be okay, Wilbur. All it's going to do is help you sleep so you can allow your body to heal. Nothing more. Wilbur's hands dug into his coat even further, ripping the fabric with his nails. He eyed the syringe warily and eventually cried out, No, don't let them hurt me. Please, you promised. No one will ever hurt you again, Wilbur. Oh wait, oops. No one will ever hurt you again, Wilbur, a voice called out, and Phil turned to see his wife standing in the doorway, arms outstretched. Wilbur immediately ran into her, clinging onto Kristen and sobbing into her skirt. He stayed there for a moment before jolting backwards suddenly, his small, frail body curling in on himself, as his body was racked by another fit.
Please, don't. I can breathe on my own. I don't want to. Please let me try, Wilbur said through the coughs that jerked his entire frame. The boy stepped back from Kristen and adjusted the new glasses he'd been given securely on his face. His wife knelt down at the boy's side and spoke softly. Wilbur, if we allow you not to have the tube, then you have to let us put the breathing mask on. Wilbur's expression crumpled, and he looked like he wanted to be anywhere else in the world other than here. The boy wrung his hands, letting his chin drop to his chest, and said wearily, What's in it? What's in the air? It's just oxygen, Wilbur. A bit different from room air, but it'll help you breathe.
Will it hurt? Wilbur's voice shook. He backed away slowly from Kristen, inching toward where his brother was sleeping peacefully. It's perfectly safe. It won't hurt one bit. The curly-haired boy finally yielded after that, too tired to put up much more of a fight. His body was so weak from fighting to stay alive for so long, and he was tired of trying. He finally nodded to the adults in front of him with a defeated expression and allowed them to place a small mask that covered his mouth and nose. Much to his surprise, breathing soon became a lot easier, his lungs no longer feeling as constricted as they once did, and it wasn't long before his eyelids fluttered shut and he fell into a dreamless slumber. The two boys spent the next few days adhering to a monotonous cycle. They'd wake, they'd take whatever strange overworld medicine was given to them, and then they'd slumber once more.
Techno, for the first few days, stayed unconscious, unlike Wilbur, who would continuously wake himself up every other hour. Bad, at some point, had to explain to the boy that his brother needed time to regain his strength. But he was greatly improving and would eventually wake up. He wasn't sure how much of it the boy actually believed. But eventually, Bad's promise proved true, and on the third day, he opened his eyes. It had scared Wilbur half to death the first time Techno had woken. The child had begun to scream loudly in his sleep, tumbling off the bed and backing into a corner. His eyes were a shade of bright red that was new and unfamiliar compared to their normal dark crimson. The moment Will had gotten close to his twin to try and figure out what was wrong and comfort him, Techno had swung at him, cracking the child across the jaw.
Yeah. Wilbur cried out and stumbled backward into the bed frame. Something about the action itself and the pain in his brother's face snapped Techno out of it as he realized what he'd done. By that point, Pilza had woken and had rushed into the room to find Techno sobbing in the corner, his fingers digging into his ears and his pupils blown wide. Wilbur curled up on the floor hyperventilating, but still trying to help his twin calm down. As Phil knelt by the two boys, scooping Wilbur into his arms, he noticed Techno was whispering something. I'm sorry, it's loud, I can't hear myself think. Sorry, Will, I didn't mean it, I didn't mean to. That was the night they discovered that Techno was no longer alone inside his own mind, and most likely never would be again.
It hadn't taken Philza long to realize what or who had cursed his son. No, he knew almost immediately who had done it, and Kristen had later confirmed it 5 days later when she visited. And the worst part of it all was that there was nothing that could be done about it. There was no magic, cure, or loophole to free Technoblade from the voices that plagued his mind every waking moment. There was nothing to be done except help the child adapt and learn to control them. The boys were kept under strict medical supervision for the next 2 weeks at the castle until finally Bad deemed them healthy enough to leave. Wilbur had been ecstatic. His lungs were clear for the first time in weeks, and he had newfound energy inside him that he'd never felt before. He wanted to run, jump, to play hide and seek with his brother around the castle. His mind was itching to do something.
So when the two had finally moved into their own bedroom, which had just been newly furnished, it was truly an incredulous sight to the boy who had slept in a wooden crate most of his life. Techno had been less happy with the whole ordeal, and after the incident that occurred when he'd first woken up, there had been a distance between the twins that hadn't been there before. He was quieter now, more reserved. The bags underneath his eyes hadn't faded as Wilbur's had. Wilbur knew he wasn't sleeping well. After all, even though there were 2 beds placed in their rooms, they still preferred to be near one another. And almost every night for the past 2 weeks they'd been here, Techno had woken up screaming. Though not since that first night he dared lay a hand on his twin. In fact, whenever Techno would have an episode, the boy would leap out of his bed and run to Phil's room, not bothering to spare Wilbur a second glance.
Phil would later return Techno to his bed when the child had finally calmed down and fallen asleep once more. Wilbur tried not to let it bother him, but it hurt to see his twin be so scared of himself. Weeks passed like this until finally one night, after Techno had already left the room, Wilbur decided he didn't want to spend a moment longer in his room. The child dangled his legs over his bed and dropped to the floor. He went over to his closet and pulled from the drawers a pair of trousers and shucked them on. He searched for a shirt that didn't have too many buttons, since he wasn't very good at buttoning them, and more often than not, Phil would have to fix them for him. He fished out a long-sleeved shirt that was shaded a muted blue. It was a bit too big for his tiny frame, but it wasn't as if he was dressing to impress anyone. He was only 5 after all.
He slipped on his shoes and fiddled with the strings for a frustrating long moment, before huffing in exasperation and tucking them into his shoe instead. Wilbur looked in the mirror at his mess of an outfit and decided it was good enough. He shook out his pink curls and frowned. He hated his hair. He hated what the color stood for in his mind. The piglin fumbled open a drawer and grasped the newly stitched beanie Kristen had given him to replace his tattered old one. He stuffed his curls inside of it and frowned when pink and white still stuck out. Wilbur turned his gaze downwards, avoiding the mirror, and then grabbed his glasses before stumbling out of the room. The 5-year-old had been here with his twin for almost a month and still hadn't really explored much of the castle. Sure, he'd seen some of it when he and his brother had been dubbed princes. Still wasn't sure what that word meant, but apparently it meant people would bow to him now.
He didn't like that so much, but Schlatt had said it was custormenary, or something like that. Wilbur sprinted down the halls, a smile growing on his face as he flew past a guard who hardly batted an eye at the child. He probably assumed he was some kitchen boy instead of one of the two princes. Good. He kept running, flying across the endless hallways and down staircases until his surroundings no longer looked familiar. Once he was good and lost in the palace, he grinned. While most people might be afraid to be lost, Wilbur found it exhilarating. It was like a game for him to be able to find his way back. He also just loved to explore new places in general. He wanted to know every nook and cranny of his new home, where the best hiding places were, where Phil's endless supply of books came from, and most importantly, where all the food was kept, just in case. Suddenly, a mouth-watering smell caught his attention and his stomach rumbled. It wasn't a painful growl like the ones he'd experienced most of his life. It simply meant that Wilbur wouldn't turn up his nose to whatever was currently being cooked in the kitchen. The small child followed his nose until he eventually reached what he assumed to be the main kitchen in the palace. People were bustling around him, paying him no mind to the small child as they worked tirelessly to cook up meat pies, soups, fresh vegetables, and more.
Wilbur made his way through the kitchen, growing more and more curious with each step. That was until a hand reached out from underneath a nearby table and pulled him under. A hand clapped over his mouth, and Wilbur didn't hesitate when he bit down on it. The metallic taste of blood stung in his mouth. The person covering his mouth let out a choked yelp, and Wilbur heard someone else snicker. "Serves you right, Q. You know better than to scare someone like that," said the laughing voice. Wilbur turned and his eyes widened when he came face to face with two boys around his age. Maybe a little older. Both of the boys had dark hair, but that was where the similarities ceased. The first boy had a white bandana wrapped around his forehead and grinned back at him with fiery orange eyes. His skin was pale and his hair was shaggy like his own. His eyes were kind and his posture was casual. The other boy, on the other hand, was tense, still holding his injured hand in his own. His hair was short and barely visible as much of it as it was covered by a dark blue beanie. Dark brown eyes glared back at him and cursed under his breath. "Pequeño bastardo me mordió!"
Wilbur tilted his head, confused by the language. It was different from the two he knew. He was fluent in Piglish and English, as they were the main languages spoken in his village. But he was lost to whatever the shorter boy was saying. "I'm sorry?" Wilbur began before the taller boy cut him off. No, don't apologize, kid. It's his own fault." "Sheesh, man! You bite hard!" the shorter boy whined, finally in a language Wilbur could understand. "Well, of course he does, idiot. He's a piglin."
Anger curled in Wilbur's gut at the word. Was it really that obvious? "I'm half piglin," Wilbur growled, but the fire-eyed boy's grin only grew. "Relax, kid. You and I are cut from the same cloth. I'm from the Nether too. I'm a Blaze hybrid. My name's Sapnap, and this is— I can say my own frickin' name!" the boy huffed before stretching out his injured hand to Wilbur, which was still slightly bloody from Wilbur chomping on it. "My name's Quackity, and I am not from the Nether."
Wilbur raised his eyebrows at that, but delicately shook Quackity's hand regardless. "So, now that we've gotten all that out of the way, what exactly are you doing down in the servants' hall, Your Highness?" Quackity's eyes widened comically, and he sputtered, looking frantically back and forth between Wilbur and Sapnap before finally staring slack-jawed at Wilbur. You're the new prince?" "So it would seem. Trust me, I'm just as surprised as you," Wilbur grinned. the tenseness from his posture finally seeping away, leaving him relaxed in the presence of the other two. Aren't you like 5 years old? You talk better than most adults I know. Quackity's eyes stayed close to bulging out of his head.
Piglin children naturally mature mentally a bit faster than humans. It slows down around 8 once they are smart enough to keep themselves alive. They might appear quite young, but mentally they might seem 2 or 3 years older than their actual age. Even so, you're very well spoken for half Piglin. Oh, wait. Well, wait. Oh, okay. What?
What?
Wait, who's talking? That's Wilbur, right? I got very confused for a second.
I think it's
Anyways.
it's gotta be Sapnap. It's Sapnap.
Ah! Okay, it's fine. Even so, you're very well spoken for half Piglin at your age. Your mental age is what, 7 in human years? Impressive. Wilbur's pointed ears went red at the compliment. Even when he and Techno lived in the Nether, Wilbur had always strived to learn, reading whatever he could to get his hands on. Their mother had taught both boys to read a little bit before the drove had her killed for mating with someone outside of their race. Does it work the same for blaze hybrids? It would explain why you're so much of a smartass, Quackity deadpanned, and then winced when Sapnap whacked him on the back of his head. Well, even if you are a bit older in the head, still not old enough to know how to tie your shoes or tuck in your shirt primes, Quackity giggled. And Wilbur's... Oh, wait.
Whoa,
I think we cut that in half.
yeah, my bad. You can read it.
And Wilbur's face flushed an even deeper shade of red. He growled back at the boy.
It's harder than it looks, okay? I couldn't figure out the strings and I didn't want to wake Phil. Wilbur frowned. Quackity merely rolled his eyes and leaned down to Wilbur's shoes, tying them tightly into a neat bow. Thanks, Wilbur muttered appreciatively. Don't mention it, but I'm never letting go of the fact that the lowly kitchen boy had to help oh-so-great prince of the realm tie his freaking shoelaces. Quackity grinned evilly, and Wilbur... Did I just family friend censor myself? I did. Hold on. Don't mention it. But I'm never letting go of the fact that the lowly kitchen boy had to help oh-so-great prince of the realm tie his fucking shoelaces. Quackity grinned evilly, and Wilbur playfully shoved him.
So where's your twin? Pinky number 2 couldn't crash the party as well? Sapnap asked, fiddling with a loose string on the cuff of his black button-down. Well, Techno had a bad dream, so my Phil was helping him calm down. Suddenly he winced. Don't call me that. Call you what, Pinky? Quackity teased, and Wilbur's face fell. Quackity's eyes immediately softened. Hey, it was a joke, dude. I'm sorry. I didn't mean anything by it. Your hair is dope, dude, especially with that 6th streak in it. I hate my hair color. Or the color, at least. It just reminds me of what happened. I don't want people to see me as a piglin. I want people to see the human part of me. Wilbur sniffled and buried his face in his hands.
Sapnap hummed for a moment before his eyes lit up. You don't want it pink, you say? How would you feel about it brown? Like your mom's hair?
Oh.
You can do that? Wilbur's eyes widened and a shaky smile broke on his face. Sure, mi amigo. The captain likes to dye half her hair that color, and it looks sick on her. We should go ask her, Quackity exclaimed, causing Sapnap to shush him. Would Puffy even be up at this hour? Sapnap asked, after Quackity had settled.
She should be. Foolish said she was working late tonight, Quackity stated matter-of-factly. The smile on Wilbur's face spread wider until it matched the excitement on Quackity's. The boy grabbed at his hand and pulled him out from the table with Sapnap following shortly behind. Suddenly, a voice from the other side of the kitchen screeched, Quackity! I see you, boy! Get over here! A large, cranky woman with graying hair and beady eyes stared all 3 boys down with a fiery hatred. Quackity paled significantly and looked over at the two, mouthing, Run. The 3 boys sprinted out of the kitchen at light speed while the cook screamed behind them, Brett, get back here! Your father will be hearing of this, Sapnap!
Sapnap winced at that, but they kept running nonetheless. Wilbur wasn't exactly sure which part of the castle they were in, but Sapnap seemed to know every nook and cranny of the palace. After a while of running, Wilbur's lungs began to scream at him. He may be fully recovered from his illness, but he still got movements where he felt his lungs grow tight as the air became scarce. Wilbur stumbled to a halt and leaned over, placing his hands on his knees. The other boys noticed and turned back. Quackity set a hand on the prince's shoulder. You good, amigo? Is it your lungs, Highness? Sapnap asked, and Wilbur nodded, still trying to catch his breath. Suddenly, voices echoed behind him, and Sapnap's eyes widened. Quick, hop on my back. I'll just carry you. Wilbur didn't exactly have much of a choice, and climbed onto the older boy's back and wrapped his arms loosely over Sapnap's shoulders.
As soon as Wilbur was secure, they were running once more. The boys passed through what Wilbur assumed to be the Great Hall, and then out of a side door. They raced up a flight of stairs into a nicer section of the castle that was slightly more familiar than the servants' hall, but not by much. This wasn't the floor or hall his brother and Phil lived on, so Wilbur could only assume that this was perhaps where the people slightly less important than the Emperor lived. They turned a hall and came to a door that the young prince guessed led to the captain's quarters. Sapnap set Wilbur down on the ground and turned back to him. Feeling any better, Your Highness? It's Wilbur. Your Highness sounds like you're talking to someone who didn't spend the first 5 years of their life living in an alley. Wilbur snarked, and Sapnap nodded. Yeah, you might want to get used to that regardless, Wilbur. It's gonna change anytime soon. Also, how's we meant to tease you if I can't make eat the rich jokes? Quackity giggled.
Wilbur rolled his eyes and punched Quackity's arm, but the dark-haired boy simply put Wilbur's beanie over his eyes. How old are the two of you anyway? Wilbur asked suddenly, pushing his beanie back up and swatting at Quackity. I'm 8, and Shorty here is 6, so maybe you're not the only one who acts a bit too grown-up for your age, eh? Comes free of charge with the poverty, Quackity snickered, and Wilbur tilted his head at the unfamiliar word. He tried to sound it out. Poverty?
Poverty. It means Quackity is broke, or poor. Sapnap amended. Wilbur frowned and looked closer to Quackity, but before he could make an assumption, Quackity stepped back. Don't look at me like that, Your Highness. I don't need your pity. I might not have gotten off as easy as you and Sap, but I don't need to. I'll make my own way in this world. Suddenly, his expression softened. Plus, being a kitchen boy means free food and a warm bed, which is more than most kids like me get. Wilbur was about to respond when a sharp voice boomed from behind the three. And what exactly are you three doing up at this hour, They whipped around and came face to face with Chancellor Shalat and the captain, who trailed not far behind, looking just as intimidating.
Quackity's head ducked low, his worn clothing and dirty face making him stick out like a Thor sum compared to the other two boys. Wilbur stepped in front of him, letting the shorter boy Oh my god, I forgot to turn off sound alerts.
Oh no.
No. Hey.
It's okay.
Time him out. / half joking. Okay, I fixed it. I'm gonna reread whatever I just read, and I'm gonna cut it out.
Okay, go ahead. You're good.
Quackity's head ducked low, his worn clothing and dirty face making him stick out like a sore thumb compared to the other two boys. Wilbur stepped in front of him, letting the shorter boy hide behind him. Your Highness, your father's been looking for you. He just about set half the palace guard on a manhunt for you. And Sapnap, your father is close to doing the same, Puffy said sternly, disappointment painting her expression. But, Puffy, His Highness was just exploring the castle and got a bit lost. Quacky and I were just helping him find his way back, and when he asked a favor of us, right, Highness? Sapnap gave him a pointed look. Wilbur cleared his throat and tried to look as tall as he could. I know it's late, and I know I've already caused enough trouble, but it's about my hair. It's really bothering me. Don't be mad at Sapnap and Quackity. They were just trying to help me. We were actually trying to find you, Captain.
Your hair? Shalat raised a brow, and Wilbur further ducked his head. He took a deep breath before he began rambling. It's the color. I know Tevno likes his pink, saying he'll keep it pink as a reminder that we never have to go back there, but Wilbur sniffled, giving Puffy and Shalat a sad, tearful look. I hate it. I don't want my hair to be pink. I don't want any reminders. Sapnap said, you dye your hair, and it looks cool. Wilbur twisted his hands together and looked down pitifully at the floor to really sell it as he finished. Could you make mine look cool too? Puffy's stern expression crumbled like sand, while Shalat's conformed to that of vague surprise. Suddenly, the horned man let out a laugh, seeing through Wilbur's attempt to elicit pity out of the both of them like glass. Well, I'll be damned! Aren't you a little devious little shit, eh?
Schlatt knelt in front of Wilbur and the tuft of pink hair sticking out of his beanie. So, what color were you thinking, kid? Brown? Like Kristen's? Wilbur's voice wobbled. Brown it is. Puff, still got that leftover dye from last time? Schlatt asked, turning towards the sheep hybrid. The captain seemed startled by the question. Apparently, she was still reeling from Wilbur's little performance.
Yeah, I think I left it beneath the bathroom sink. Why don't you get started while I escort these two back to their quarters? Fair enough. I owe you after screwing up your roots last time. Schlatt snorted. Wait, you dyed Puffy's hair? Snap asked, looking entirely lost. Of course I do. Puffy is hopeless with hair. I've been dyeing her hair since I was a teenager, and His Majesty was still a vegetable.
I'm not that bad, Puffy grumbled before pressing a hand to Quackity and Sapnap's upper back. Wait! Quackity turned, with his eyes wide as they landed back on Wilbur. His voice squeaked as he choked out hopefully. See you later? Wilbur grinned back at the brown-eyed boy. Definitely. The prince watched as Quackity and Sapnap were escorted out of sight, his face dropping when he could no longer see his new friends.
Oh, don't look so down, kid. Sapnap is Bad's son, and wherever Sapnap goes, that little kitchen boy isn't too far behind. You'll see them soon. Now, you wait here while I go grab the dye. If we're doing this, it'll be in Phil's bathroom, Schlatt said, humor glinting in his eyes. Why's that? Wilbur asked, confused why it mattered. Watching him try to scrub brown dye out of his marble sink will be the highlight of the week for me, Schlatt said, as if it was obvious before ducking into Puffy's quarters. It wasn't long before he came back out with the plain cardboard box that was half dyed a dark brown. With his other free hand, he scooped the scrawny 5-year-old into his other arm, much to the boy's dismay.
Oh, shush. I don't have any kids of my own to chuck around like rag dolls, so you and your brother will have to do. You don't have kids? Wilbur asked, not surprised, but maybe a little, since almost all the other important adults Wilbur had met did. Puffy had Foolish, and Bad had Sapnap. Sam, a man Wilbur had only met once since he spent most of his time guarding the dungeon, didn't seem to have kids, but he did have one heck of a guard dog, Fran, which in Wilbur's professional 5-year-old opinion was close enough. Hell no, I'm like 20, kid. Puffy's 8 years older than me, and Bad is primally knows years older than me. Most of the officials you meet are older than me. I'm way too young to have a kid, Schlatt said, wheezing out a laugh before adding, I know, the side chops make me look older, right?
Do you want kids? Wilbur's question had Schlatt pausing for a long moment, his expression like stone. Finally, he spoke. Nah, I'd be a shit dad. I'm better off just being an uncle. Wilbur disagreed, but decided not to say anything. Didn't seem like a subject Schlatt enjoyed. The two turned a corner and went up another flight of stairs, and suddenly the hallways looked familiar again. Are you happy here, Your Highness? Phil, your dad, or I don't know if you're at that stage yet, actually. Schlatt fumbled over his words for a moment before sighing and trying again. The Emperor, well, he cares about you and your brother a great deal. I know it's probably way too early to see him as your dad, but that's what he wants to be for you and Techno. And as the Emperor's right-hand man, I want him to be happy. Don't ever tell him I said that. Wilbur giggled at that and answered in kind. Phil saved our lives. My brother and I owe him and Kristen a lot. He's given us everything we could have ever asked for, and he does everything he can for me. He can for Techno, which is all I could ask for. While I can't speak for my brother, I'm happy. It's weird, going from being nothing to being something, though.
I bet it is, Schlatt said, shaking his head. Suddenly he paused just outside the entrance of the royal wing of the castle. Hey, has Phil mentioned what the third bedroom is for? I know that you and your brother share a room right now, but there is another empty one for one of you when you get older, but there's still another. Any idea what it's for? Wilbur frowned and shook his head. No idea. Wilbur! A voice called out from down the hall, and Wilbur turned his head to see Phil rushing over to them, a sleeping Technoblade curled up in one arm. The two men met just in front of the door to the third bedroom and wordlessly exchanged children without skipping a beat.
Are you okay? Philza cried, scanning over the boy frantically for any signs of injury. Wilbur scrunched up his nose and giggled. I'm fine, Phil. I just went out for a walk is all. Using his free hand, Phil pinched the bridge of his nose. Will, we've been over this. You need to tell me when you leave this wing of the castle. It's not safe for someone as small as you, and especially not at night. What difference does the big light make? Wilbur asked. Confusion furrowed in his brow. Schlatt chuckled at that. The sun, Wilbur. It's called the sun. Here in the overworld, when we see the sun, we know it's time to work, play, etc. But when the sun goes down, that means it's time for sleep.
But you and Phil are awake when the sun isn't? The pink-haired boy pointed out smartly, causing Schlatt to scoff. Your father and I are adults, Wilbur, which means we can stay up a little while longer, but a small fry like yourself needs to be asleep when the sun is down. Philza cut in at that. Not to mention it's not safe to be out at night, even here in the castle. It's easy to get lost, and there's always a chance that someone bad could sneak into the castle. Wilbur frowned. But no one bothers me at night. Most people couldn't even tell who I was.
It's not very reassuring, Wilbur. What if you had gotten hurt and couldn't get back to me or call out to anyone? What if you'd been taken? I came back into your room to put Techno back in bed, and when I couldn't find you... Phil paused for a moment, his expression distant before he cleared his throat. Just promise me you won't go wandering around the castle at 3 in the morning anymore, okay? The hybrid sighed. Fine, I promise. A hand came up to press against Will's face, and while it was clearly meant as a sign of affection, it didn't stop the young boy from flinching involuntarily. The hurt that flashes through Phil's eyes is brief, gone in an instant, but Wilbur catches it nonetheless. Ever since the twins had arrived, there had been moments like this, where Phil, Kristen, or really any of the staff would move too quickly and frighten the boys. Most of the time, the twins could brush it off, pretend they hadn't just jumped back 5 feet from a hand being placed on their shoulder. Other times, it would cause them to panic, and they'd forget they were no longer in the nether.
Sorry, the boy mumbles, pressing his face into Phil's shoulder, hiding his face from view. Don't apologize, mate. I understand that this is all new to you. Nobody is expecting you to immediately adjust to all this, Wilbur. It takes time, but eventually you'll stop seeing us as a threat, Philza promised, pressing his cheek into the boy's hair. Wilbur pulled back, his expression wobbly. I don't mean to. I know you wouldn't hurt me, but sometimes I forget I'm still... You don't have to be sorry. You don't have anything to be sorry for, Will. It's up to me to gain that trust, okay? Now, what's with that box of hair dye, Schlatt? Phil asked, eyeing the box warily.
Schlatt grinned and eyed Wilbur. Tell him what you told me. Wilbur eyed the box once more, and then looked to his brother who was still passed out in Schlatt's arms. He'll get over it. I want to dye my hair brown, he said confidently, and was surprised when Philza didn't seem the least bit shocked by the idea. In fact, he wasn't fazed by it at all. Instead, he had this strange, knowing look that puzzled Wilbur and Schlatt to no end. Philza stretched out his hand towards Schlatt's, who immediately passed the box over to him and smiled. Then brown it'll be?
And brown it was. And yes, Technoblade was absolutely pissed the next day.
Oh!
End of chapter 4!
My heart! I'm so happy. I love them. I would die for them. I love. I'm in love. I love these little characters. They're so babe. Little babies. Little babies.
If you're not real, then how do I wait? The notes?
If you're not real, then how do I feel this way?
Little babies.
Little baby. He was every single person.
Oh, the notes was also have fun ripping good J Schlatt out of my cold dead hands. Yes. Also, hi Johnny. Hello.
I am emotional. I am so happy. I feel awesome. I love that. Can we just stop it right there? Actually, no. I really want to see Tommy. I need Tommy.
Oh, you'll see him. Don't worry.
Oh,
you'll see.
Wait a minute. I forgot what this is based off of. Oh no. No.
Oh.
God, I forgot.
Oh, my sweet summer child, Kit Sage. You are in for a ride. You're in for a ride. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Wait, I'm
gonna lose it next week. What? I'm already losing it. Abby, don't do this to me, please.
Well, I'm not gonna be here next week, guys.
Oh yeah, guys, next week you guys get me.
You guys get Kit Sage, so I'm gonna steal it to Kit, and she'll read y'all like a one shot or some fun like that.
You guys are getting a one shot. I think I already chose.
You already chose? Send it to me.
No, it was one of the ones that you sent me. Cause I don't. Why is somebody calling me?
Why is your ringer on?
It's not okay. So my phone is connected to my iPad, so it rings no matter what, even if I have like it on silent.
That's kind of cringe.
I know, it's cringe-tastic. But yeah, I don't know. I think it was one of the ones you sent me. I have to look at it through it again, but I'll look through. It might be.
Awesome.
I think it's. I think. I forgot what it was, but I'll check. I'll check it out. I have to check it again.
Yes.
But yeah.
Oh man.
Man. So yeah, luckily I have 2 weeks to feel okay.
Yes, sir.
To be ready.
Yes.
Mentally prepared.
Yes. Cause yeah, I'll be back. Cause okay, guys, I'm leaving for Oklahoma on the 21st.
Oklahoma.
Yeah. So any
Blue Ridge
Oklahoma
Mountain.
enjoyers.
Oklahoma's real?
Yeah, apparently.
Damn.
I know.
I didn't know that.
And I
It's
won't.
crazy.
And so yeah, and so when I get back, I'll be gone that next week because I'll be going back home straight from Oklahoma. Chapter 5 and 6, my beloveds. I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm gonna reread them. You know what? I'm gonna reread the whole fanfic. I read chapter 12 today.
I can't read it.
I know you
wanna read
can't.
I'm trying. I'm saving myself.
Dude,
I'm
save yourself.
saving-
Save yourself.
I'm experiencing all this on stream, so if you hear my little like noises, it's because I'm gonna.
No, it's perfect. We're getting the live reaction. Well, like the live noises.
Yeah, you guys, you don't get the face reaction.
We don't get face reactions, from but we do get the live noises.
Yeah,
Let's
and
see.
it's all crying.
Sorry we had to time you out there, Derpy, but I couldn't risk you doing another sound alert. I totally forgot that those are on. That's so embarrassing.
No, I had, because you had said instead of sore thumb, you said Thor some. So I
did?
had to mute my mic. Yeah, you did.
No, I
think if you go
didn't.
back- I think if you go
No.
back, you might have. I think you said it. I remember you hearing. I remember hearing that. But I think you said Thor some, and I remember like muting my mic to like giggle because it was so funny.
Oh no.
That's so funny.
I can't.
It made
I
me
can't
giggle.
keep doing this.
It's okay. Just Sonic fandom over it.
I just might. But I do my edits all through YouTube now because I'm lazy.
Yeah, honestly, valid. Hey, at least you edit.
Hey!
I don't do that. I upload straight up.
Hey!
Straight up.
Oh my goodness. No, it's like a whole process when it comes to VODs. Like I trim down the beginning, I trim down the end. But if it's like a fic and I want it on my main channel, I'll go and I'll like take out like, oh, if this happened here, if something. It works out.
Yeah.
So we vibing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna just read this tonight. Read what, Toaster? Are you gonna read? Are you gonna?
The golden
Oh.
Phoenix.
Oh yeah, you click the link and you can add your pronouns.
Kudos. Wait, whoa! That's cool.
I'm fancy schmancy.
Actually, wait, teach me that. That's actually really cool.
Yeah, I think it's with the what's it called? The chat thing that I have.
Uh-huh. Nice.
Yeah.
Heck
Okay.
yeah.
Wait, I don't know if has fanfic updated. Click that link. Yeah, it leads to the Golden Phoenix. Awesome sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go. Yeah. So like the thing, the chat bubbles things, they have your pronouns on the side.
Yeah. So cool.
Dare I say, poggers. Also,
Oh,
guys, I'm playing FNAF tomorrow. I'm
Will
playing
definitely be watching that.
Yeah. I
Because
need
it's
to.
security breach.
Yeah, it's security breach. It's probably gonna be around the same time I just went live, so let's say maybe 8 p.m. CST.
Heck yeah.
So mark your calendars, folks.
Calendar marked.
Hit the notification button. Join the Discord.
It.
This is also my
Discord
first time.
just joined.
Let's go. FNAF. Little fun. It'll crash your computer. I'm so ready.
Oh, let's go.
Just read the first yeah, read it. It's so good because I don't like reading because that's okay. That's why I like to do this. I like to we like to read the fix to you.
It helps a lot of people
Mhm.
that want to read it, but they can't really read it because time, they're
Attention,
busy.
you know.
Yeah, attention spans. Like it just helps them. So yeah.
Yeah.
Very fun.
And because we're not professionals, it makes it engaging.
Yeah, we're like a scuffed audiobook, I feel like. Like we're gonna figure out how to say emaciated instead of emancipation
Shut
in
up.
the middle of it. We're gonna say
Oh.
Thor some. Let's see. We're gonna what did I do? Forget who's speaking and do a whole different language and go a whole different accent, you know?
Oh
we're
my
not
goodness.
audiobook. We're what's like a
Emancipation. I was so confused when you typed it in all caps. I'm like, oh, it meant to be that. I don't know what these words mean. I just go burr with found family. I don't care about grammar.
Grammar not important. Found family important. Little
Agreed.
twins duo important.
Twins duo. They were in a food crate.
That's
They were in a food crate, man.
Mm.
Kind of sad, low key. Where's the fan art for that, Emmy? Where's the fan art of them in the crate?
Honestly, where's the fan art of us in a food crate?
What? Oh my gosh. Why do you want to be in a food crate with me, Kit?
I was kidding. I don't know
Oh
why.
my gosh.
Oh my god.
I want
Damn it. I want to be Quackity under the table.
I want
cursing
to
in Spanish.
I want to be Wilbur biting Quackity's hand.
Yeah, I want that. I want that. No
Nom.
food crate.
Nom 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 nom.
You bite my hand. I'm like cursing in Spanish. I feel like that's fitting.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I gave you that part on purpose, by the way.
The Spanish?
Yeah,
Thank you.
I
was
gave
like,
you
yes!
I gave you the extra paragraph because I'm like, I ain't gonna pronounce this. I'll say amigo, but I won't say this. You can do it. She can do
I
it.
hope I said it good enough.
Oh, you said it fantastic when you did like the whole like, and I was like, oh,
The rolling R's?
yeah.
Thank God. Love being Mexican. Love Spanish. Woo!
Woo!
I wasn't ready for that flex. I'm Mexican. I know Spanish. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's my Go XLR. That was my Go XLR, and by my Go XLR, I mean my hand over my mouth.
That's yes. Fill on the trash can. Perfect.
Yeah, fill on the trash. Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah.
Wilbur
no,
and Tegra
I'm-
Shiv doing a Po from Kung Fu Panda. Oh, the second one. Oh. Wait, say it again. Say. Oh wait, say the line. Say the Spanish part. Or wait, what do you want her to say?
Do you want me to say the Spanish part again? I can say the Spanish. I just need to whip it back
It was
up.
kind of hot, not gonna lie.
Hot damn. You're so terrible. Let's see. I
I'm
know it's
the worst.
bastardo. I know it's bastardo. I know that's there. Bastardo. Pequeño bastardo mi mordió.
Yeah! Claps in chat. Let's go. Let's go.
There you go.
Clap.
There you go. Hashtag Mexican. There's my Go. I love my Go XLR.
Something like little bastard.
Little
Big Mac.
bastard. Yeah. No, yeah. Yeah. Pequeño, little bastardo mi mordió. Yeah, just about. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Also,
Mhm.
Kit, did you see Emmy's new art today?
I did not. I was getting notifications for art. I did not see the arts.
Hee hee.
Yeah, little bastard bit me.
Hee hee.
Oh no. Hold on. Where do I find it? Is it in the Discord?
Instagram.
Instagram? Oh crap. I haven't been on Instagram, that's why. Let's
Oh,
see.
welcome
Let me-
back, Jax. And Toasted, thank you for the hydrate.
Let's go. Let's see.
Ah.
Where is it? I need to feel something. Can you tell me something that'll piss me off? Your hair looks stupid and mom said I was smarter than you. That one? Or is that- That one was a funny. Oh wait, I see. Ah, no! It's chapter 2.
Everyone is sad.
No, why? Wait, oh my god, please don't tell me this is. Oh my gosh, wait. I have an idea as to what this might be, and I don't want to be right.
Hee hee hee. Hee hee hee.
the one like the one from 3 days ago. I'm gonna say this.
What?
Was like he's like so beautiful, mom. How do I look? Ah!
Perfect. The freaking audio that goes with that. Okay, wait, hold on. I'm sharing my screen. Guys, everyone, look at this. This is what we do after we read the fic, because Emmy always has art up. Oh my gosh. So beautiful, Mama. How do I look? Perfect. You know, it's not the same as it was. The fact that she doesn't know Emmy. Oh my god.
What? What don't I know?
You don't know.
What don't I know?
You don't know.
What don't I know? I need to know.
No.
I will cry.
No, you don't get to know.
Okay, you just circled the crow. Is that father? Is that the father?
Teehee.
Crow
Teehee.
father.
Teehee.
He's sending out to look for his child.
Teehee.
Stop! I hate being in the dark. I'm gonna read it and you won't even. Oh my god, I don't think about you at all.
If you
I will
read ahead, I'm gonna fly over to you and I'm gonna tackle you.
Okay, I guess I need to read it. I miss you.
Oh, bestie, wait. Bestie, wait.
Guys, I gotta read it now. Oh no. Oh no. Look at me
no.
opening chapter 5.
Stop!
Oh no.
Stop! Stop! Stop
Chapter
this
5.
madness.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Chapter
I'm kidding.
5. Oh.
Chapter 5.
Oh my gosh. Kate, are you going live tonight?
No. I was just doing the reading and then I'm just chilling for the night.
I mean, fair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was gonna go live earlier, but then I forgot about my doctor appointment. So I was like, you know what? Today's a rest day.
Cringe.
I worked hard last night working on that project that I told you about that I have yet to mention.
Yes.
So, yeah. No, but in Spanish. No!
You wanna hear me say N-O. No.
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 Isn't that, it's a quote from somewhere.
I don't know.
I don't know. I can't remember. Hypergore.
Chapter 5 is one of your faves. Sorry you have to wait an extra week for it.
Oh. Ow.
I suck. Ah. Going to a bridal party with my best friend. Ah.
Yeah.
I'm the worst.
Oh, jump.
Punk chop. Alright. I guess I'm gonna end now.
Okay.
We can... oh, you know someone? Oh, I was already planning on raiding someone else. Bum, bum. They're playing Val. They're always on my For You page. Simply Heidi.
Oh, I don't think I know them. Let's do it.
She did, Disney College Program, and so I always got to see her on my For You page. She pretty poggers. She pretty pog chop.
Let's do it. I love Valorant. I've been looking for Valorant streamers. I enjoy it.
Yeah, she's a big Disney fan, so I'm gonna do a /raid. Wait. I can't believe you'd sacrifice the found family like that. Wait, what? No, I would never. I would never, Emmy. Come on, you know me. Alright, simply... Is my ad done now? Yep. Heidi. Okay. Chat. Alright.
Equals potato.
Alright, everyone say bye to Kit first.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
Kit.
Adios.
Alright.
Adios.
Adios. Alright,
Adios.
I'll talk to you in a little bit.
Okay.
Chat. Alright, everyone. Get ready to raid. If you have a sub, please do the raid emote stuff. It's gonna be PogChamp. But I'm gonna send y'all over to Heidi. Give her some love. Give her some Julie Berry love. Yes. But y'all, I will be live tomorrow. I forget what time I said. 8 p.m. CST for Security Breach. FNAF. So, please join the Discord if you haven't already to get notifications about when I go live, because Twitch is always late like that with the mobile delay and stuff. But I just want to tell y'all, remember, you are loved, you are worthy, you are beautiful, and I love you all very, very much. And I'll see you all tomorrow, okay? Bye!